Hey, welcome everybody to another busy webinar. I have Trigvi as always here with me and our special guest, Tim Ritchie with Integrate IQ. Tim is going to be sharing a number of things about how to connect your existing systems to HubSpot. And for our attendees and our friends here that are already on and watching live, you can ask questions via the Q&A tool, or if you have other comments or commentary, you're welcome to use the chat. I'll be monitoring both YouTube and the Zoom account for any Q&A that we have rolling. So thanks. And without further ado, let's get started. Tim, if you can move us one slide forward, just as a quick preamble, these webinars are sponsored by BusyWeb in partnership with a number of our best friends. So I'm super excited to have Tim introduce himself in a moment. BusyWeb can and does help our clients with all kinds of fun things inside of marketing, sales enablement, and all those things. But you're not here to hear about us. You're here to hear about how to integrate your systems with HubSpot. Trigvi, did I miss anything?
It doesn't sound like it.
Sweet. Thank you. And Tim, your account. Here we go.
All right. Thank you so much. My name is Tim Ritchie, and I'm the CEO of Integrate IQ. And before Dave and Trigvi sell themselves short, one of the things you're going to hear today is the planning process, the part of this process that BusyWeb handles is absolutely critical. So thank you very much for the platform today, Dave and Trigvi. I appreciate it. Um, Integrate IQ is best known as a custom integration specialist. We're HubSpot Diamond partners, and we do have the integration accreditation. That's the funny circular thing there on the left that nobody knows what it is. We have integrated HubSpot now with more than 250 different platforms. And last year alone, more than 16 billion fields synced through integrations that we built. We do this a lot, and we've learned a lot along the way. I'm happy to share that with you today. Um, just a quick thing about myself. I live in Redmond, Washington, just outside of Seattle. And prior to Integrate IQ, I ran sales and marketing teams for 25 years or so. During that time, I've migrated 6 different companies off of Salesforce onto HubSpot, and I've stood a number of other companies up from bare metal onto HubSpot. Suffice it to say, I am a big HubSpot fan and am really excited about the opportunity to be involved with you all and with HubSpot and integrations. They are key to taking advantage of everything that HubSpot has to offer. So let's move quickly off of me and talk about our purpose today. It's really to give you the primer of the benefits of integrating systems in your technology stack. And in the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to identify specific opportunities that will help you grow your business or move it forward if it's kind of at the size you want it to be and you want to work on efficiency and profitability, automation and speed. We'll explain what's important and why that's important. We'll address what your options are for integration, talk about the things to think about. We'll then dive into a specific use case for an existing customer of ours. And then we'll wrap up by talking about business, about best practices and next steps. And then, assuming I haven't been too long-winded, we'll have some time for questions and answers at the end.
Sounds great, Tim. Thank you.
All right. So the foundational premise that I built this deck from is that every business wants to grow, and you want to grow and become more profitable if you're a for-profit company. And if you're a nonprofit, you want to grow so that you can serve more of your audience. So that's the foundational premise here. And in my experience, there are 3 key elements to growing and becoming more profitable. I'm going to put these things in terms of a for-profit business. That's where my experience and expertise is. So there may need to be some translation if you're a school or a hospital or a medical provider of some sort. So the first thing, increase revenue by selling to more customers. While finding and converting new customers is expensive and it's time consuming, it's also completely unavoidable. So properly segmenting and targeting your ideal customer profile or ICP will improve conversion rates. It'll shorten your sales cycles. It ensures that you are spending your marketing and sales dollars efficiently. And by connecting your data systems, you will better understand your existing customers, their behavior, and that enables you to extrapolate to identify similar audiences that you can then communicate with similarly. So you're shortening your sales cycles, you're using your money, your marketing dollars, your sales resources efficiently. Number two is to improve service. So this is really about creating raving fanatical fans in your existing customer base. It's something I look at Amazon.com to do, and they are very often sort of my benchmark for this. So happy customers are way more likely to refer your company to their peers and to provide you endorsements. Endorsements increase your credibility through social proof, and they further reduce your sales cycles. If you can get your customers referring each other into you, it's the strongest form of advertising you can possibly get. It's free, and it is what you do to develop passionate proof and social proof with existing customers. One way to do this, and there's lots of ways to do each of these things, but one way to do this is increasing your speed from closed sale to fulfillment. It's a great way to delight customers. Beyond that, later in the customer lifecycle, arming your service teams with comprehensive information combined from various data sources enables them to provide excellent customer service, another fantastic way to generate loyalty with your existing customer base. And then finally here on this high level slide is reducing costs, right? Errors erode customer confidence. They cause a negative customer experience. They take time and energy to unravel. Mistakes are very costly. Automating processes, say from the sales cycle to fulfillment, is a great way to eliminate double data entry, to avoid a number of these problems. And then just on this kind of overview slide, one other thing that I want to call out that's not explicitly stated on this side, but is absolutely implied, is that having your data in one spot improves reporting and visibility dramatically. It helps you turn data from just data points into information and ultimately into insight that you can action to further improve your organization to grow or become more profitable. So let's move on and explore these ideas in more practical detail. So digging into the idea of growing your overall customer base or selling more deeply into your existing customers, things like integrating your ERP or accounting system with your CRM system enables you to provides rocket fuel to that growth by sharing information between these systems so that your sales and marketing teams have visibility into customer purchase and support history. Imagine a world where your marketing teams can push offers and announcements to customers based on purchase history. Offer related products, like for everybody that purchases a TV, a week later offer HDMI cables, or like Apple does, if you purchase an iPhone, a week later offer AirPods. One of the great examples of this in our business, we have a client that provides natural supplements. Obviously, as you consume those natural supplements, you need to reorder. They have themselves on a cycle where fulfillment pushes data into their CRM, which kicks off the clock. And 45 days after a shipment, they begin sending reminders and ultimately offers to restock your supplement purchase. So, great way to think about growing the top line of your business. Speaking a little more deeply to avoiding errors, correcting errors quickly, is automating data between sales and your fulfillment or operations teams if you have those. If you're small enough that you don't have those, then imagine the weight that would be taken off by automating some of this data sharing process. One of the things that we run into frequently is a concern that sales teams are expensive. And as a longtime sales leader, I know for a matter of fact that salespeople aren't necessarily the most detail-oriented folks. So getting them, shocking, I realize, but it's true. And I came up through sales, so I can speak to this myself. Think about some of your very expensive resources, entering data into a CRM system, processing that data, getting a sale closed, and then turning to your fulfillment, your operations, your accounting system, and needing to re-enter that data. First, those salespeople are going to go crazy because they want to be interfacing with customers because very likely their livelihood depends on commissions. Second, you and your accounting teams are going to be going crazy because they're entering the data incorrectly. So all those errors need to be undone and fixed. So automating, based on a workflow, based on a trigger, information going from your CRM system into your operations, your shipping, your accounting system makes great sense, and it can return a great ROI for your business. And then finally, I guess the thing I wanted to say about this slide is, pardon me, these are quite foundational elements, right? Increasing sales to reach a broader audience, selling more to existing customers, increasing profitability by reducing errors and double data entry. It covers a lot of ground, but I would encourage you as a takeaway from this presentation, it also just scratches the surface. So take a moment after this and think deeply about your business and where you can gain momentum, either through reducing errors or selling more into existing accounts or new accounts. And if you feel like you're not in a position to do that, maybe you've been working in your business for a long time and you're just feeling a little bit stuck, this is a great place to engage BusyWeb. They do this a lot. They help a lot of customers do this. And as Dave mentioned, kicking this call off, they are a fantastic interface to the technical side of custom integrations. So both are needed, the planning and the actual technical subject matter expertise. And now we'll step into a little bit about what that technical expertise is, and hopefully I can arm you to think about some of the things that you need to consider as you move forward with thinking about how you want to integrate your various systems. So the foundational element for everything that we do is starting with our client's business objective. So this is not a technical part of the process, but it is the foundational touchstone for every other decision that's made. Why are you wanting to integrate your systems? Frankly, it can be time-consuming, frustrating, expensive, but for most, there is a good ROI in doing this. In order to ensure that you are as efficient as possible through this process, you have to first understand what your underlying business objective is. So start there. It's absolutely critical. Second, properly map the fields from your various systems. Typically, the way we approach our integrations is we will start with one direction of one sync and then build from there. The thinking that goes in advance, though, is comprehensive. We think about all of the directions of all of the syncs, all of the triggers that cause data to flow. So, the kind of the foundational element there is properly map your fields amongst the systems that are involved. Once those fields are mapped, right, customers in NetSuite flow to contacts in HubSpot. You want, property A, B, C, D, and E to sync between those two elements or objects is how we refer to them. One of the things that you want to make sure of is ensure that the fields are mapped. Number fields in system A are number fields configured as number fields in system B. Drop downs have all exactly the same properties. If you don't do that, your integration will kick off errors. It'll be frustrating, it'll cause dirty data, and your underlying business objective is not likely to be met. The next thing to consider is what are the sync triggers? So what is going to cause data to flow from system A into system B? Perhaps it's when you close a deal in HubSpot, pertinent deal information automatically flows into your ERP system, into your accounting system, into your inventory system. Maybe it's when a ticket is opened in your customer service portal. Maybe it's when a project or a product is shipped. Any of those things can be a sync trigger and an infinite number of additional things. So just think deeply about what will cause data to begin flowing. And I think maybe at this point, one of the things I'll stop and emphasize is it seems with our customers, one of the things that we run into at the beginning of a project is I want all of the fields or objects in system A to sync into custom fields or all of the fields in system B. And I would like to strongly caution you against that concept. Go back to your underlying business objective and start with the minimum. What is it that is absolutely crucial to sync from system A to system B? You can always build out later, but don't add complexity or overhead if you don't need to do that, if it's not beneficial to your underlying premise or business objective. So once you've figured out the triggers, start thinking about sync cadence. So again, the higher the sync cadence, the more frequently data is syncing between the systems, the more overhead you have for that integration. I've seen it slow down systems. I've seen platforms throttle API transactions. So again, think about maybe not the minimum, but think about what makes good sense in terms of a sync cadence. If you're wanting to speed up product fulfillment, then maybe using webhooks to immediately sync data makes great sense. If you are looking to populate a board level dashboard, maybe it's a weekly or monthly sync of information. Not all integrations are built equally. So think about what that cadence needs to be to transfer data back and forth. The next thing I'll mention is developing context around your integration. We have customers that sync millions of fields a day, but you need to take that into account as you think about designing your integration, because it will impact performance, it will impact data transmission. So just think about how many records you're going to sync each hour, day, week, month, whatever your cadence is. And be aware that certain platforms have sync limitations. They only allow a certain number of API calls, perhaps a month. Some increasingly more platforms throttle API calls. There could be additional license costs. There could be a special support plan that you need to be on. So just think about the broader context as you think about the platforms that you'd like to integrate. And then the last thing I want to mention on this slide is think about what connection methods are available or optimal between the different platforms. It could be APIs, it could be webhooks. Maybe you built an in-house custom database and you need to do a direct database connection. Is it an on-premise system or a cloud-based system? You can connect to either, but know what you're doing up front. On-premise systems tend to be more complicated to connect to. And then, if all else fails, you can likely automate exports and imports between your various systems to get the job done. We actually we did an integration with an AS400. And we've done a couple of them now. One we were able to connect with directly. The other one we had to do automated exports and imports. It worked great. It's not probably what you're thinking of when you think of system integrations, but if all else fails, it is still an option. Okay.
Wow, AS400 is old school. I've not heard of AS in a long time. We did get a question on cadence. What are some reasons that you'd want to speed up sync cadences?
Yeah, it's how quickly do you need the data? Is kind of the most common use case would be you want to speed up order fulfillment. So a deal gets closed in HubSpot, and it's for a product to be shipped out, or perhaps another member of your team needs to reach out to the new customer for us, one of our first steps is to get credentials, and we want to keep that speed moving. So that would be a great reason why you'd want to use webhooks and get immediate data transferred from your CRM to your ERP, your order fulfillment, maybe your services platform or your services team. So that'd be a high cadence. A low cadence might be you have a weekly report you want to send out to your management team. And if that's true, then maybe a daily sync of data makes good sense. A sync into your data warehouse or data lake or visualization platform. So there's there's an infinite number of other reasons to throttle that cadence higher or lower as well. This would be a good question to explore either with the team that you're using internally to put together your integration, or with BusyWeb or us or another provider. Thanks for the question. I appreciate it. So
I think I want to jump in because Tim's answer is great, but I think one of the things that's important about when you're dealing with data sync is understanding that at what point, if you're looking at a river, at what point there's the old philosophical question: is it ever really the same thing? And so as you're understanding when the data syncs, it gives you an understanding of, and how often it syncs, it gives you an understanding of when that data is really true. So if you're syncing everything into HubSpot and then you run a report, if the report's 12 hours old, then it's important that you know that, and that you can trust the data.
Yeah, and TrigVT, I think to your point, sometimes that makes good sense and it's okay, and sometimes that latency is not appropriate. It just needs to be considered up front.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just to wrap up that prior slide is, the reason that all of those decisions matter is they are going to drive how you design your integration. And the way you design your integration is going to address or not address your fundamental business case. The way we'll get into a little bit more detail about this in a moment, but the way this gets designed is going to impact how you can access that data that you're syncing back and forth in pursuit of the larger vision, which you don't ever want to lose sight of. Okay, so now we know kind of what the process is, what to think through, what to have in your mind. Now let's just consider what options you have to begin to build out your integrations. And a lot of people, here's a dirty little integration industry secret. At least for us, about 50% of our customers come to us having failed at an integration themselves or using another partner. So about a full 50% of the business that we get, someone, for whatever reason, the initial integration didn't work. Often those are in-house build attempts. So some things to consider to keep you out of that position. Do you have the internal expertise that you need in order to make API calls or even native integrations? And if you do have that expertise, does your team have the bandwidth today or on a schedule to actually build that, to actually stand up the integration? But I will give you a word of caution. Even if they have it today, will they have it in 6 months to maintain that? One of the things that is clear to us from, 11 years of doing this now is integrations are live. They're live beings. They evolve as the underlying platforms evolve. Drop-down fields change, objects change, properties change. If you're familiar with HubSpot, just think over the last 2 years, how much that platform has evolved. So that affects the underlying integration as well. So don't just think about, can my team build it today? It's can they maintain it over time? And then finally, I'd say, as you consider building in-house, is this the highest and best use of your technology resources? Maybe it absolutely is. But maybe your team is expending resources on an integration where they could be building out your product and getting you to the next version to take to market, or enhancing your market presence or whatever it is that they're doing. So just you need to balance that. Is this the highest and best use of your internal team's time? So even if you are using your in-house team, you have a couple of different options. There are native connectors and a growing number of native connectors in the HubSpot marketplace. And there are a number of iPaaS solutions as well. So think about the subject matter expertise that you have internally, that maybe you have yourself, and consider whether you are in a position, or your team is in a position, to correctly build these and integrate these solutions for a clean, correct data sync that meets, again, your underlying business objective. Note that some of these native connectors are absolutely free. They work great. Some of the iPaaS solutions work on a freemium model. Some of them are paid. So you'll run into a variety of situations in the HubSpot marketplace.
Tim, is iPaaS a data term or a branded tool, or what is iPaaS?
It's a reference to a category of internet-based tools that are integration platform as a service tools.
Oh, got it.
So there's some of these, a number of organizations have tried to create front ends that lower the bar to doing platform integrations.
Mm-hmm.
And that category of tool is called iPaaS.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. The last option I wanted to mention on this slide is contracting through a company like us in combination with BusyWeb to help with the planning. There's lots of benefits to that. One of those benefits is you get a fully customized integration and maximum flexibility as a result. Sync triggers, sync cadence, data transformation. Maybe if there's needs to be some back-end data cleanup before the integration is done. So lots of flexibility there. They do tend to be more costly than certainly than the native solutions and more costly than some of the iPaaS solutions, depending on the partner that you choose, right? If you go to an Accenture, expect a lifetime commitment and multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars a year spent on a team of integration specialists. For us, not so much, but know that it can be more expensive than the iPaaS or native solutions. Custom integration is often appropriate for highly regulated industries, financial, healthcare. So the iPaaS solutions, it's just those tend to be more complex to integrate with than other platforms or other industries. So take that into consideration. Or if you're a specialty industry, I have no idea how this happened, but we have gotten to be well known in the landscaping industry. And there are a number of landscaping specific and pest control specific platforms that we now have, specialist expertise in integrating with. So if you have a specialist landscaping, manufacturing, shipping platform, it might make sense to contract for this. Consider security, the capacity of your team and the underlying data structure that you create. How are you going to maintain the platform? Consider the database and connection performance. Are either of the platforms going to throttle or limit your API calls? And then how are you going to back up the data over time?
Tim, you have brilliant timing because Karina, one of our attendees, actually says that she has LMN, the landscape management software tool, and she was wondering if it works with HubSpot. So do you have any input on LMN, or have you heard of it?
I have not heard of LMN. Here's
Okay.
what I'd say. I mentioned at the top of this, we've integrated with 250 different platforms multiple times for many of them. LMN is not one of them, but for someone like us, it almost doesn't matter. The people that we employ are integration and API specialists. So if that data is accessible in any way, we will find it, we will get it, we will be able to integrate it with HubSpot.
Gotcha.
Nothing is going to be more complicated than integrating, some of the healthcare systems or locked down financial systems that we have worked with into HubSpot. And we typically find a way. And in fact, in the 11 years we've been doing this, there are 4 platforms that we haven't been able to integrate.
Wow.
So we will find a way. Thank you for the question.
Of course. Well, and I think as we were talking about the LMN tool, I Googled it and it looks like there's some Zapier ones that you could do. And I don't know if that's helpful or if that's a tool you recommend. Maybe that's part of the connectors, or I know there's a lot of stuff that goes into that.
It would be considered an iPaaS solution.
Okay.
Zapier. There's definitely a segment of the market where it works really well. It makes great sense. You pretty quickly bump into limits with Zapier, and you still do need some technical expertise to get it right.
Sure.
The other thing
this is why this is the difference between I think a cursory look and a deep dive look is Zapier on the whole advertises as being this great Swiss Army knife that you can connect with just about everything. And by and large, I think that's true, that they can connect with anything. But then as you get deeper into it, oftentimes what Zapier can do for you is two things. Is number one, it's variable. So depending on when you have these trigger events where you need data passed and forced, then all of a sudden the cash register rings. So you really don't have a good understanding of what your monthly budget for this is. And so number two is the amount of data that can pass from one point to the next is often extremely variable. And so what the difference is, I think it's sort of like, and God, this is going to hurt a little when I make this joke, is a time in my life I like to refer to as my early 30s, when you had to pay for minutes for your cell phone versus an unlimited plan. So the kind of things that Tim does is more of an unlimited plan where data goes back and forth, no problem. You just pay one fee, one number a month. But if you have to buy your minutes, then it goes up and down and up and down, and it's oftentimes not a productive solution. I've experienced.
My perception of Zapier coming into this organization and getting deep into integrations was that it was a lower cost solution, that it was, effective enough and a lower cost solution. And the more I've seen it operate, oh man, is it expensive.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
it really again, it's a great solution for some. But boy, it really, they figured out how to monetize the heck out of that thing. Bless you, Dave.
Thank you.
All right, I'm conscious of our time, so I'm gonna
Thanks, Tim. Yeah.
keep trucking along
Mhm.
here. And we've come to the part of the presentation where I'd like to run through a use case. Just the purpose here is to give you a sense of the possible. So this is one of our existing customers. They've been a customer for 8 years, maybe. They are a business to consumer medical device manufacturer, obviously a very highly regulated industry. They have a HIPAA data set. So it's complicated to get into their systems. It's highly secure. These are all things that we need to think about as we build out this integration. And beyond that, they have a relatively complex ecosystem that they operate within. And I'd like to just run through the highlights of that ecosystem, thinking about it in terms of a customer journey. So if you think about product discovery, how do you find their products? You can do that from the web, and their web platform is WordPress. So they're pretty good about search engine optimization. They do a little bit of digital advertising, though not a ton. Their inventory platform, or ERP, is called Ritchie. It syncs inventory information into their website, so people are able to buy from their website and see what products are in stock or not. The second way, and this is by far the largest way that there is product discovery for them, is through doctor referrals. That referral data from doctors is captured into their CRM as well. So that's another sync, right? So CRM from their website, and now from doctors, and a front end web app that we developed. So that's product discovery. It's either based on the web or through a doctor's office. Similarly, they have two streams for selecting products. The first is getting device applications through a doctor's office, a doctor's referral. There is a custom front-end web app that we developed that a doctor will log into. It's called OB Portal. And they will fill out a form. There's a bunch of logic behind that. Depending on the doctor's office, the patient's insurance information, all of that information is automatically sent off to insurance companies for approval, and for our clients' internal approval. All of that information also automatically synced to the CRM, HubSpot, the CRM system, which is it's really at the center of what these folks do. If a form is filled out and not complete, There are automated SMS and email sequences. The SMS is sent out through a software as a service platform called Message IQ. It's a text messaging platform that we offer and that we offer through BusyWeb. Completed forms are reviewed by an internal operations team at our client. That approval is also captured into the CRM automatically. And once the application is approved for the device, that information is automatically pushed into their ERP system, Ritchie, for fulfillment and further tracking. So that's purchase stream one. Purchase stream two is for accessories and consumer-based direct purchases. They use WooCommerce on their website for that, and Stripe as the transactional payment information. Again, that is captured and pushed into their CRM. Undoubtedly, you're starting to see a theme here. Everything gets captured into the CRM so that their customer service folks have a full view of their customer and are able to interact and really support their customers well. Ritchie is their ERP system. There are some specific HIPAA and medical capabilities that Ritchie has. That's what caused them to select this. They use Ritchie for inventory tracking and order fulfillment. Order fulfillment status is captured back into HubSpot. Status of order fulfillment is also automatically presented to every one of their customers via a software as a service application called Status IQ, which is another SaaS app that we offer. If I've piqued your curiosity, go to smartramp.com, check out our suite of SaaS apps. But shipping tracking information and order fulfillment status is presented via Status IQ. And then also pushed via SMS, Message IQ, and email, depending on the patient's preference. Patient gets to select, I want an email, I want text messages. Shipping is an add-on to Ritchie. It's called cleverly BrightShip. So that's their shipping system. It generates a shipping tracking number captured in, you guessed it, HubSpot. Tracking number is also provided via Status IQ and text messaged or emailed out via Message IQ.
I just want to stop because I think because you're halfway through and this is exhausting, and this is not even close to a difficult use case. This is almost a standard list of anything that a major company uses.
It can be. Not all of our customers choose to do all of it. But I wanted to do something that demonstrated the potential. So these folks have automated. They're a very small company, and they're able to do a lot through automation and syncing and integrations. So you think about ROI, and and this is a place where they are not necessarily investing in additional heads, but in automation instead.
I'm sorry to interrupt your flow, but I think people need to know that this is not a heavy lift. This is a pretty standard cluster of tech.
Yeah. Where it gets interesting for us, right? This has been a great client over a long time. We've also done a bunch of custom development for them. All of what I'm about to mention gets synced into their CRM system. So regulatory reporting, transaction logic, automatically feeding applications to various insurance providers, to government agencies, to customer service people in their organization. We developed a data warehouse in MySQL. Also a bunch of custom front-end applications, the doctor-facing portal, a customer service-facing portal. There's customer-facing forms that their customers or patients fill out directly, and then a number of dashboards to represent billing, sales, fulfillment, customer service calls, so that on one pane of glass they're really able to track their business well. And then again, not a huge company, they use QuickBooks for their financial system. So moving on and really wrapping up here. So talking about some of the best practices that we've already addressed here in this talk. Our customers tend to hire specialists with specialist expertise. Those specialists want to use best-in-class systems for their part of the business, their silo of the business. They need the capabilities of those different platforms, whether it's landscape maintenance or an accounting system or a CRM system for sales and marketing. Your specialists really need those platforms to make the most of their roles. That data doesn't have to exist in a silo, right? So automatically passing data from one system to another is almost always possible. Doing so speeds up your service capabilities. It reduces errors. It allows you to grow your top line. It allows you to become more profitable. It allows you to do more with fewer people. And getting data aggregated into a data warehouse or a visualization system or your CRM or all three of those really helps you to manage and manage your business, keep your finger on the pulse of your business so that you can continue that growth and continue your success. So this brings us to, all right, lots of stuff. What am I supposed to do now? A great place to start is to evaluate your work streams to identify your opportunities. What platforms do you have? We just did a tech stack audit for a client. It's the next thing I do today is review that. So determine the value of potential integrations. Where can you streamline? Where can you speed things up? Where can you eliminate data silos? If you don't feel like you're in a position to do that, either it's not your expertise or you've been there where you are for a long time and kind of just have kind of legacy think, right? You want to help breaking out of that, tap into BusyWeb. They do this all the time. They can help you think through the potential of integrations and systems and really do an audit and help you get creative about this. Next, determine whether you have the internal time and resources to handle the integration yourself, either through an internal build or through an iPaaS solution. And gosh, don't hesitate to engage experts, right? BusyWeb can help in the planning. They can help with some of the automation. We're great at those custom integrations. Tap into us. We have lots of experience in doing this. I've already mentioned some of our SaaS apps, so leverage those. Check them out at smartramp.com. Message IQ for text messaging back and forth. Status IQ for a customer portal. And if you think they can help your business, don't hesitate to start today, right? This is a great time to begin. So with that, at 59 minutes and 37 seconds into this, I will shut up.
This was great, Tim, and I think the questions we're caught up on questions at the moment, but for the common things that I hear, and I know Trigvi hears even more than I do, is I have this thing that I need, and so I guess the first line is probably to not be shy about asking about specific questions, and to be sure to share with your partners all of your tech stack. Like if you hold something back because you think, oh, nobody's going to be able to do this, it's AS400, it was created in the 80s, blah, blah, blah. Like you showed us in today's event that you can do AS400 integrations. Frankly, somebody mentioned it to me last week, AS400. I was like, yeah, stone tablets don't work so good in today's world. So I don't know if that's going to work, but now I know that it does. So I should have asked you right away. The one question that I have that I think the other members or the folks that are attending would want to know is, are there any like integrations, like slam dunk integrations that you really shouldn't feel shy about just doing yourself? I'm thinking like, is QuickBooks an easy layup in HubSpot because it's done so often? Integrating email, for example, Is that something that you should be comfortable doing yourself? Or when should they know for sure to raise their hand and to consult with the experts?
It's a really good question, and it's a pretty variable answer. So
Mm-hmm.
what are the resources you have internally? What is your personal capability and technical understanding? Um, and one way to get at directly at your a response to you is, if you're thinking about doing something yourself, go to the HubSpot marketplace and see how many times that integration has been downloaded. If it's a gazillion, QuickBooks probably pretty easy.
Right.
So that's a good way to evaluate.
I think that to expand a little on Tim's answer is there are easy things that you can do, and you can take advantage of the things in the HubSpot marketplace if it fits what you need.
Yeah.
But if the first thing, and the most importantly, and I think Tim really identified this, is actually talk about and think about what you actually need before connecting the dots.
Right.
And if it is something that is available, great. I mean, Tim would be a colossal waste of his team, his talents, if you asked him to connect QuickBooks, because he'd happily take your money and be done in 10 minutes. But that's the kind of thing, Dave, that I think a lot of people can do. And I think one of the things that, Karina mentioned a system that Tim hadn't heard of before. And I think that often in my role in sales is people give it high role, like, oh, well, he's the expert and he doesn't know what that is. There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of systems. And just because he hasn't heard of one doesn't mean that it's not good, and it doesn't mean that you can't work with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Every single day someone brings up a system that I don't know or we haven't integrated before. And it's funny because we almost, our folks don't work in front ends. Our folks are all back end folks. So an API is an API, and the triggers or whatever the API is capable of, or a webhook. So yeah, every single day someone brings up a platform that we haven't heard of or we haven't worked in, and we still do it.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Tim. This has been, as usual, incredible fun. I know for the folks that are attendees that are signed on to Zoom, you should be getting a white paper from Tim after this, because he sent us some stuff to share with our registrants. So if you registered for today's event, you will get that. If you didn't get that, Tim, I think your next slide has your contact info on it. And so feel free to email if you're watching this on or after the fact on YouTube or after a link. You can connect with Tim at tim@integrateiq.com, and his other information is shared on screen right now too. Any parting words of wisdom before we go from anybody?
I think that this is not something that you need. You in the abstract is, can you get away with not doing this? The answer is yes, but in doing so, it will make your life so colossally harder that the value in not doing it is practically nil.
It's a really good point, Trigby. It kind of goes back to the beginning of the presentation, is what opportunities are you not taking advantage of by keeping your data siloed? Are you properly talking to your customer segments or lead segments?
Mhm.
So are you missing an opportunity there? And what problems are you causing by having salespeople mistype data into your accounting system or your shipping system? There is tons of opportunity if you release the data that exists in your ecosystem and bring it all together.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Trigby, and thanks to our attendees for another fantastic webinar. We have a inbound follow-up. HubSpot, or our next busy webinar is going to be available soon for registration. That's at busyweb.com/events. Our next one is October 2nd. We're going to talk about HubSpot product updates from Inbound 2024. Tim, we'll see you at Inbound, and Trigvi and I and a number of the BusyWeb team will be there with the Integrate IQ team, and can't wait to see you there.
I can't wait. It's going to be a great time.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much.
Hi, gang.
Nice to see y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye.